Hi, I'm Kelly, and if you're new to my channel, this is part of my keratoconus series where I talk about my personal experience with keratoconus and its treatment options and also try to lend that experience to you. I'm not a professional, this is my experience, so don't take this as professional advice. But I just want to say, first of all, I do try to be very real and candid in these videos, and lately I've been feeling a little down in the dumps related to a couple things, and I will talk about that in the latter half of this video, but I want to talk about the technical aspect of my latest appointment, and then I will mention my emotional aspect of my treatment and my journey with keratoconus. I am going to try to leave a timestamp down in the description below because I know that some of you benefit most from hearing about the technical aspects of things, where others benefit most from the emotional side, and some people benefit from both. So I will leave that there so you can skip over the technical aspect, or you can skip past the emotional aspect, or you can just ignore the timestamp and watch it all if you want. So, that being said, let's get into the technical aspect of this latest appointment. I went to this latest appointment to have my vision assessed in both my eyes, and for my right eye, it was just to see how the procedure was progressing, how my vision was coming along, and if there was anything that needed to be fixed. As far as my left eye, I was there to have it assessed to make sure that I am still able to be a candidate for cross-linking. So the appointment was pretty basic. It just involved the normal things, and I felt like I wasn't doing super well on the eye charts, and it seemed to me that nothing had changed from the last appointment as far as my right eye goes. In my left eye, everything seems pretty normal. Everything was mostly clear, given wearing my glasses, and that means that I am a candidate for cross-linking, which I will talk about a little bit later on in this video. So in my right eye, I've noticed that nothing had really changed and everything in the eye chart was pretty blurry. The doctor who met with me today was someone that I'm not used to, and personally, I'm a creature of habit and I like having my routine. So meeting with someone who doesn't necessarily know me and know my personality and how I react to the eye chart makes me very uncomfortable in that situation and probably hindered my performance on the eye chart just a little bit. So the reason why I say that is because the person that I met with today seemed kind of exasperated when I couldn't, validate which number was better, 1 or 2, 3 or 4, you know the deal. So she seemed so tired with it. And to be honest, I always worry that I'm taking up too much time because I'm not there alone. My dad drives me and he has to get to work after. So I always worry about that. So basically the situation is, once I met with the second doctor who comes in, who is actually my surgeon who did my procedure, my transplant, he said that the graft is looking good, so the transplant's looking good, but I have a large amount of astigmatism. The root of that is because where the wound healed is a little bit too tight, is the best way I can put it. And it's caused my cornea to become more not cone shaped because that's keratoconus, but more like football shaped, I guess. So I'm guessing it's just pulling sideways on it. And clearly, our corneas are supposed to be oval shaped. The way that they're going to fix that is by doing something called a relaxation incision. And I don't know the real technical aspect of that. I don't really know exactly what goes into that, but it's just an incision. So they do make a little cut, and it's meant to relax the wound where it healed to allow it to become more oval shaped again. And my doctor said that they do that a little less than maybe it should first instead of too much, because if they did too much, then you'd have to get stitches again. So if they do it a little bit and it goes back into position, great. If they do a little bit and it needs a little bit more, then I'll go back and they'll make a little bit larger of an incision. So that is what's going to happen with my right eye. It's a little disappointing because it is a bit of a setback, but it's apparently a procedure that heals very, very quickly. In my left eye, as I said, I'm going to be getting cross-linking, and the details of that is that I will be going in on the 9th to get the relaxation incision and to get a dilation exam, because you need to get a dilation exam before getting cross-linking, and it's been since before my transplant in December that I last had a dilation exam. So that's what I will be doing on August 9th, and I will update you guys after that. Not about the dilation exam, most likely, because you've all been through that, I'm sure, but because of the relaxation incision. 10 days later, I will be getting my cross-linking done, and I will, again, inform everyone of that, but I can't promise that. Actually, I won't be able to make videos the first day, probably not even the first couple of days, because you're not supposed to look at a screen. So I will get back to you on that. It will be a couple days after the procedure, much like my transplant. I think actually I made a video the day of, but that was a little bit different. So that being said, that's coming up, and I look forward to updating you. And there's a possibility that might change. So if there's no video updated around that time, that's because I will be having to work around my schoolwork. So if I feel that I have too much on my plate as far as schoolwork goes, I might have to reschedule the appointment for later in the year. Okay, so that's all the technical aspect of this. Now I'm going to get into the emotional side of just my personal life and that in relation to my keratoconus. So lately I've been feeling a little bit bummed out, and I don't know if there's necessarily a particular reason why. I just kind of feel unaccomplished lately, and I think the biggest root of that is because I'm unable to drive and unable to get a job. So I think what really triggered it has to do with my artwork. As I said, this conversation is going to kind of revolve around two different aspects of my life. Being someone in their mid-20s and trying to discover themselves, and being someone who has keratoconus. So as far as being someone in my mid-20s, I feel very unaccomplished. Sorry, my dog was making a very weird noise. I felt very unaccomplished because I've been unable to get a job because I can't drive. And lately I've been trying to work on some art projects, but quite frankly, I have so many different things that I like to do that I feel like sometimes a jack of all trades and a master of none. So I've been doing that. I've been doing some artwork around the house. Give me a second, I need to let my dog out. He's going to be making noise this whole time otherwise. As I said, I've been doing art and I've been enjoying that, but I did go to school for sculpture, and I felt guilty for not utilizing those skills that I went to school for. So I attempted to make a sculpture. The clay positive of it was beautiful. I loved that piece so much. It's in my previous video, but it's a girl like holding her hands over her face, and that was really kind of meant to be a symbol of my keratoconus and, kind of just feeling hindered by my visual impairment. So that was a really personal piece and one that I worked really hard on. And the problem with the technique of sculpture that I use is that it doesn't always work out. There are many, many things that can go wrong, and that's not necessarily my fault. That's just part of the process. So I don't want to bore you too much with the art talk, but the woman was sitting down like this, and I had to turn it upside down to cast it. And since it was upside down, the legs were sticking straight up in the air and would not cast. And that was my fault, but it was something that I did not foresee when I was making the mold. So I honestly should not have continued and just filled out the thing and then proceeded to fill it via the flange. But I don't know. It was my first sculpture that I've really done on my own completely. So I went and tried to cast it, and it all deformed and did not look good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to resculpt it, and I'm going to have to make a new mold and recast it, which is fine. It's part of the process in sculpture, but it's a little discouraging because it's the only sculpture that I've tried to make this year. And it's what I went to school for. It's really discouraging knowing that I have the skills and I understand the techniques, but not be able to produce a good final product. So that's not necessarily part of my vision, but it kind of feels like it's part of my vision because that's the first piece of real true artwork that I've tried to make since my transplant, and it didn't work out. So that's just a little bit discouraging, and I've been a little bit bummed out by that because I feel like I'm not successful as an artist, which again is just kind of thinking too much into it because it just doesn't work out sometimes. I have made, for my thesis, my senior year of my undergraduate school, I had a piece that I had to make 3 times. I had to sculpt, make the mold, and, well, I didn't cast it 3 times, but I had to sculpt and make the mold 3 times. So it's part of the process, but I can't help feel like it's something personal with me. Second of all is, again, it's related to being in your mid-20s, moving home after school, but it also is really connected to having keratoconus and not being able to drive. So I've also recently felt very, very isolated, and that really stems from moving home, not having my independence, and even more so, not having my independence via a car. So I'm not able to get out in the world and explore the city and go off and be on my own. I'm not able to have my own place right now because I'm not able to get around. And I feel like a burden on my friends when they want to hang out because they come and get me. So that's another just aspect of why I've been feeling down. Another aspect, which is kind of stupid because it's just temporary, but I think it's important to mention these things because I know that I'm not the only person who's felt this way, especially with keratoconus, but I also have a long-distance relationship. I started dating him when I was in undergraduate school, and we've dated, through this past year when I've been home, a couple hours away from him. And since I don't have a car, it makes it difficult to go and see him. I certainly can go on a bus or a train and visit, which is fine. It's just we've both been busy this summer, and now hearing that I'm going to have 2 procedures in August means that I'm probably not going to be able to go and visit him because I'm going to have to worry about school, and I'm going to have to be healing from these procedures. So, and another part of that is, yeah, he could definitely come and visit me, but the problem with that is I live at home because I'm unable to get my place because I'm unable to drive. So I know for a fact that my dad would not like my boyfriend being in his home, not because, my boyfriend's anyone bad or anything. It's just my dad is someone who likes his space and likes his routine and doesn't necessarily like to have to deal with extra people in the house, which is fine. We're both introverts, so that makes sense. But it just makes it hard because it's been about 5 months, and it's hard when you love someone and your life makes it hard to be around them. because of certain things like being unable to drive and having a procedure that's going to keep you from seeing them for another month. It just makes it hard. Same with my mom and my sister. They live in a state, another state, and it's a long drive, and I don't have a car, so I have to find some other way. Same with jobs. I think I mentioned that. It's like I feel like I would like to get a job now that I'm on my own and I have to pay for all of my art. Well, my dad is helping me, of course, but I'm tired of being dependent on my dad and my mom because I'm 24. I don't feel like I should have to be dependent on my parents anymore. I just feel like it's an age where you're supposed to be on your own and you're supposed to be doing your own thing and discovering yourself and learning how to be an independent adult, and I don't have that opportunity right now. So I think that's about all that I'm really been upset about, and that I was going to say that I'm willing to go into detail about, but that's really it. And I hope that I didn't annoy you by going into all of my emotional feelings. It's just, I know that a lot of this stems from being unable to get out and experience the world for myself. And that really, the root of that is really me being unable to drive because of my transplant and not my transplant, because of my keratoconus. And like today is when I have my appointment, I just felt even more let down because I have to get 2 more procedures, and that means it's going to be more time until I'm able to drive, because I can't get my prescription yet, and my vision's going to be hazy for a couple weeks after keratoconus. But I will say I'm really happy that I'm able to have this community of support, and also I'm really happy to help support you guys as well. And just so you know, you're not alone, and I feel like I'm not alone because of you. So thank you for that. And I'm going to make a couple videos soon, clearly, because of those appointments, but I'm going to make one first based on the booklet of information that I was given. And so I think that's it. I feel a lot better being able to say that here, where I know that you guys will be able to understand me because you are going through a similar situation. And again, if I can be any help to you, please leave a comment down in the comment section, or I don't know if you're able to direct message me, but if you really are feeling like you need to talk and don't want to put it in the comments, feel free to email me as well. All right. I look forward to making the next video for you. Bye. Whoop, can't find the stop button.